Howdy, howdy. We have been talking about putting out good content and why it's not only good for your readers, but it is good for your pocketbook as well. Problem is, nobody tells you what good content is, right? They say put out good content, but they don't tell you what it is. Here's the thing we've been talking about up to this point. Folks are drowning in information right now. Absolutely drowning in information. They don't want any more information. What they're looking for is wisdom. They want wisdom. And when you start giving your readers wisdom, not only are they going to bond with you, they are going to be more likely to purchase your products or sign up to your newsletter. Basically, you're going to be more likely to take you up on your recommendations. So good content has to do with imparting wisdom. So I wanted to talk about this wisdom thing because I just didn't want to leave you there saying, well, give your readers wisdom and not really talk about that either. So let's look at Wikipedia really quickly. And it kind of scares me, this definition here, because it's so long. It says, wisdom is a deep understanding and realizing of people, things, events, situations, resulting in the ability to choose or act consistently to produce the optimum results with a minimum of time and energy. Now, when you boil that down, that's really what folks are looking for. They're wanting to get from point A to point B. They need some help doing that, and they do typically want to get there as fast as possible, right? Let's take a look at a quote from a comedian named Peter Kay. I really like this. This is the difference between knowledge, or knowledge is basically information that you know, but the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it into a fruit salad. Okay? Think about that for a little bit, because it's also from Bob Bly. And I don't have this quote here. It was actually from a book that I was reading from Bob Bly, but he made the quote very, very real. Let me pull that up right quick. So I've got my handy-dandy iPad, which you obviously can't see. But he's talking about the difference between information, knowledge, and wisdom. And what I thought was really poignant, I guess. That's a pretty fancy word for a Arkansas redneck dude. But it says the highest level of how-to writing content hierarchy is wisdom. Wisdom helps the reader determine a course of action or choice. Okay, so if we're going to take that big long Wikipedia quote and narrow it down, that is a good quote there. We want to help our reader make a choice. And that's what they're starving for as well. Good content is about imparting knowledge and helping folks get from point A, from wherever they're at, to point B. And you don't have to take them all the way there. You can just walk them through. You just get them part of the way there. So what I thought might be helpful is if we take a look at a couple examples here. I looked at e-readers, and here's ereaderguide.info, and I'm not basing on this guy's site. It's not bad, and it does provide some useful information, a lot of useful information, but it is just that, it's information. And if you look through it, basically what he's doing is going through all the different electronic readers, the Amazon Kindle, Kindle DX, Sony. He's literally got dozens and dozens and dozens of them here. But there's a lot of information, but I'm not discerning a whole lot of wisdom out of this. He's letting people come up, try to take all this information, digest it, and come up with their own wisdom. The closest thing he has to wisdom is down here in his notes section, where he's saying, unique for global wireless internet capability and browser, most popular ebook reader. Here's 2.5 times bigger, the cheapest, no frills. But this is still, if I'm looking for the best electronic reader, this is so much information to go through, and it's not directly useful for me. And I know this because I just bought e-readers, one for Jeannie and one for myself. But when we were looking at them, it really came down to, it's like, where do we want to use? Where do we want to read? Jeannie likes to go outside and read in the sunlight. That's her favorite place to go read. I like to kind of like read while she's in bed or in darker areas. So that makes a huge difference on what kind of e-readers we're going to get. And it really does not matter at all about, let me see, the memory. That's useful, right? But it doesn't matter about memory. 4 gigabytes. If I'm just a typical user, that means not a whole lot to me. The weight does have something to do with it, maybe. But file formats, there's 15 different file formats, but what does that mean? It's not really helping me make a great decision. Does that make sense to you? Now, here's what I did find, and this is probably not the ultimate resource, and you can do this in writing as well, but this is an e-reader quiz, and I thought it was really, really cool, and I thought it was really helpful. It says, my budget is $350 and under, so you click what your budget is, so say $250. Do you have any brand preferences? We'll say no. Let's see if I can get down here on this next page here. Do you want to be able to make notes in ebooks? Sure, that sounds good. How important is the actual reading experience? Very important. Will you be reading outside a lot? Let's just say we were Genie. Yes, we'll be reading outside a lot. How important is having a small e-reader? Not very important. Do you want to download books while on the go? That sounds nice. How important is having lots of memory to store books, pictures, and music? Yeah, that's important. I don't have tons of pictures. Do you see the difference, though? And you can do this in your writing as well. But we're going to start getting wisdom now, hopefully, when we say get your results. If we don't, then we'll probably have to go back to the drawing board here. But do you understand what's happening? So if I was going to write a review on the best e-reader, or an article, say, I'm not going to say start out with the gigabytes or how many file formats. I'm going to say, you know what, if you're looking for the best e-reader, here's one of the questions you want to ask. Where are you going to be using this e-reader at? Okay, and you can do that in your article, right? It's not which e-reader, it's where you're going to be reading it at. And you can go through the whole article talking about how important that question is. Are you going to be reading outside, so on and so forth. At the end, you can end that article say, go over and see all the best e-readers for if you're reading outside, so on and so forth. So you're providing some type of wisdom. And I hope I'm not talking too fast. I'm trying to get this under 10 minutes so I can get it on YouTube. But it says the Amazon Kindle 3. Fits your budget. Yep, it has annotation. Reading experience is great. Awesome outdoor reading. Large storage size. That, to me, is very, very, very helpful. And I have to assume that they're going to get a pretty good conversion rate off of that. Sony Reader Touch Edition. Now, actually, we bought her a Nook, but it allows her to read outside. But another thing is, if I'm on a budget, right, and I want to read indoors, but I don't have the budget for an iPad or a backlight solution, maybe I could recommend a reader that I can read outside, but with a reading lamp, right? So that would be extremely helpful. It gets them from point A to point B. Okay, now I know I'm talking really fast. I've had a lot of coffee. Let's take a look at what I typically see out there when I'm helping folks and they're not converting. They're providing information, and that information is not always so great, okay, to put it nicely. So here's one I found. This is kind of a bad example. This is the Diet Solution Program, Scam ebook reviews. Let's take a look at this first paragraph. Before we take a reliable, detailed look at the Diet Solution Program to detect some clue of the scam, we should look at the writer and the designer of that program. Isabel de los Rios is a nutrition fitness expert, including more than 11 years of practice in aiding people reach and sustain their ideal pounds and tackle circumstances like heart-related illness, diabetic issues, and elevated cholesterol. Okay, I have to tell you, he's lost 99% of his readers already, okay? Because is that even really saying much of anything? You're talking about 11 years of practice, experience. So what, okay? Get to it. What's in it for me? Do you see what's going on here? This is just the information. This is not good content. All right, there's no wisdom here. Is there any wisdom there? There's not any wisdom here. Now, let me take a look at another one that's doing it must be doing okay because they're advertising on pay-per-click on a very expensive keyword. And I haven't looked to see if they're there for a long time. And I would actually change this up if it was my site. Here is some wisdom right here, or some helpful information that help people make a decision, which is wisdom, right? If you don't want to sweat yourself to death at the gym, then the Diet Solution Program is the choice for you. Now, there's a little bit of disbelievability there, but you go on to read this here. It says the Diet Solution to lose weight without exercise. The Diet Solution was created by Isabel de los Rios, a nutrition 10 years experience, certified strength. Again, I would start implying some wisdom here, but you can read this whole review. But what's cool is, what most people are going to do is they're going to scan through this. They're going to say, oh, no gym here. That sounds interesting. If I'm a woman, this might be the one for you, and this is going to be an ideal image for a woman here. And then he starts talking about veggie plans for vegetarian. Now, again, this is not the best example in the world, but you see where there's a little bit of wisdom implied here, a little bit of saying, hey, I'm this person, this is what might be right for me. If I was doing a weight loss program, I'm going to look at the various categories of weight loss problems people have, and I would say, hey, if you're trying to lose over 50 pounds and you're having trouble controlling your eating, and you have emotional eating, you're binge eating, something like that, take a look at this product. If you're just trying to lose 10 to 20 pounds and you really don't have a huge problem with eating, this program might be right for you. So I would categorize based on my visitor and help them make a determination of where to go. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. My goodness, I'm talking really fast. So people are starving for wisdom. If you just throw information at them, if you just throw up articles full of information and hope people are going to click on your links, it's not going to work. If you can impart wisdom to folks, you're going to go a long ways to providing that good content that folks want and that folks link to, and you're going to bond with your readers, and they're going to take you up on your recommendations. I hope that helps. I hope I've given you a little bit of wisdom here. And talk to you later. Bye-bye.